This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing a variation of the Mothership role-playing game called Cloud Empress. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is the Star Seedling. It was written by Victor Graur, who is also our warden. Cloud Empress is the creation of Worlds by Watt. Mothership was created by Sean McCoy, and this is episode 4. Our recap will be given by Julian Arba as his character, Sun the Dusty Wizard. But before we begin, we do have a new patron. Stain Arnott has pledged €1 a month to our club. Thank you so much, Stain. So, without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Julian?
Thank you, Thom. What have I gotten myself into? I tell you, when I get back home, I am never reading my mail ever again. Because I have found myself with a few other very interesting individuals from varied backgrounds. And we have found ourselves coerced, imprisoned, poisoned, who knows what, by some person named Tada to try and find some artifact that Thorn thinks is a myth. The house is just a complete mystery. It moves. It must be organic. It feels like it is. But after we decided to leave the house, we ventured into town. And into town, we found a group of soldiers. And these soldiers were boasting about something, and One Shot decided to figure out what was going on. And they had seen a imago somewhere out. And we decided that it would be a good idea to see if we could find it ourselves. Fortunately, while we were in town, One Shot did create an escape plan for us, which is very nice in case things go quite south. And we took off across the way. And eventually we found a very strange landscape where it looked like holes had been blown into the ground. And as we were admiring these holes, we heard buzzing in the distance, and we saw a carcass in the distance. And I decided to hide because I knew what was coming. Sven, who I thought was a very practical man, usually thinking about breakfast and food, which are very important, made a very rash decision to run away and try to get some of the chalk. And I believe that One Shot went with him, but they were successful at getting some chalk and not being murdered by the imago, which is good. As we went along, we started to experiment with this compass to try to figure out if we could ascertain its purpose. And we did find that some good, useful information about how this compass works and how it is going to help us on our journey. And just as we had figured all this out, we almost lost the compass to several very unscrupulous brigands that we had to teach a lesson to. And I will tell you, if they come back again, we will teach it to them again, if necessary. But I have to say that Sven, even though he was a little bit rash, did come in the end and save our bottoms with his very large chalk cannon. So I am actually very grateful for him in that. But after we rousted these ruffians away, we're standing here really trying to figure out what it is to do now. Victor?
Thank you very much, Julian. So you find yourselves exhausted, licking your wounds around a dim fire that needs some attention. You are in the middle of this dense forest. It's quite late. What would you like to do?
Well, we've done an inventory. What have we really lost? Anything?
You are in the possession of the compass.
No. Well, having our lives and having our things is not enough. We need to find those guys and teach them a lesson so they never do this to anyone ever again. Of course, that's secondary to our current.
Yes, I'm in quite a lot of pain. It's hard to catch people who can fly.
I think we destroyed their thopter, didn't we? Did we not?
They can't fly anymore.
In fact, their thopter, or what remains of it, is aiding you in seeing because it's up in flames nearby. And in fact, although when the young brat took away, you have in your hand a piece of their costume that they wear. And you see that it has a symbol. It has a very minimalistic triangle with a rocket in the middle of it. And this sigil is also plastered on the rack of the top.
A sigil. I don't recognize it.
Well, based on their attitude, it'll be on their base if we run into it. They're not.
I'm going to look around the immediate area that we're in, and I'm going to see if there's any herbs or things that might help Rose, either kill the pain or help to heal. Jewel weed or I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything regarding medicine or pharmaceutics as a skill? Or
no, nothing like that. But maybe just folk knowledge. But nothing special.
Perhaps we should go back to town to see if we can find someone that can help those of us who've been injured.
Well, we got kind of what we wanted out in this direction. We got the chalk. What time of day is it? Is it still early or is it getting into
it's
the
late.
afternoon?
It's late. It's late. You wanted to rest for the day.
That's probably a good idea then.
Because keep in mind, this is the area that the compass started acting up in, so we need to search this place. But yeah, I don't think we can do it at night. And with them being invisible, I agree with Sven. It doesn't make sense to stay out here. Not when they'll have a grudge against us.
We can find something to help us should they return. A bottle of ink that we could fling around us and it would splash on whatever was invisible. Yes, let's get Rose back. See if we can get her some healing.
But I'm going to
Hey.
say, as you're relaxing and doing this, you can, if you want to search the surrounding area, you can give me Amatistos since you wanted to. You are still better equipped. Rose is hurt. You can give me a 1d10.
9.
9. You find some herbs, and these herbs are meaty and quite satious, but they aren't for disinfecting wounds. They would make for some good food if you wanted to serve them for tonight.
Okay.
You can definitely tell that they are not poisonous or dangerous.
So,
how far is it to town?
You could probably do it in a couple of hours, 2 hours.
Couple of hours, and it's already late. So it seems like staying here is probably the right thing. So I'll follow in One Shot's footsteps, not directly, but look for some wood to start a fire.
You can definitely find that. It's a forest.
And while I'm doing that, I'm kind of looking around.
Yeah.
To see what there is to see.
And maybe to see if there's a slightly better sheltered area under the trees.
Sven, your eyes land on where the pile of rocks that you so happily found. And they have been blown away by all the encounter. And there is almost a scratched like symbol in the stone underneath, in the pavement, so to speak.
A symbol I recognize, like a rocket, or?
No. This seems to be a torture script. Just by looking at it, you don't understand anything about what it should mean.
One Shot. Got some more of that weird writing. Hey, come over here. Come over here.
All right. I come over.
You both look at this symbol that is scratched. You don't sense any kind of magical presence outright, but the symbol is a mystery. It's essentially something like a couple of circles, probably some lines drawn towards the middle.
Does the compass react if we get it close to the symbols at all?
How close to the symbols do you approach the compass?
Here, just set it on the symbols. See what it does.
On it. Yeah, we'll see if we can set it on it. Or if it looks like it's going to do something really weird as I'm setting it down, I'll kind of pull it back.
As you're taking the compass closer to the symbol, it starts to have a faint yet stronger and stronger glow.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's inert. It's like, and it's a little bit weird because it's actually just rock. So there are no mechanical or, magical probably, but magic is pretty much technology that has yet to be explained.
So if I set it on the symbols, does it like light up like a candle?
You set it on the symbol, and there is a low rumble all across. Everybody feels this, and you see, without any kind of needing to pay extra attention in the distance, 2 beams of light, almost like coming from eye sockets of a giant, are beaming into your direction. They are not approaching, they are not moving. It's like 2 floodlights are put onto you.
Can the Imago shoot light out of their eyes? Have we ever seen that? No.
No, they stay. You hear no buzzing. The forest has the usual crickets around.
How high up roughly are these spotlights? Like, are they way above the forest or?
They almost tower over the forest. I'm going to say that you probably can count a couple dozen feet high. If you decide to not approach in a dangerous manner, probably just scouting, like even stealthily going around, not to meta that much, but you don't need a stealth check because it seems you're approaching a humongous statue whose eyes have started to beam this strong light from it. It's inert.
Old looking?
Quite old.
I wonder if it has something to do with the tortures.
If anyone has, you can't really see in the dark that well. Only these lights are actually blinding you because there's no other source of light. But it looks like something that you probably read or heard about. It looks like a torturer giant, which is essentially a humongous machine of war, an anthropomorphic machine of war, but it's desolated, it's not in use, and it seems to be barely functioning as a glorified spotlight.
Well, be cautious. If it's another one of those monsters like the one in the castle.
And since San actually asked, retracting the compass, you can do that. Nothing, you don't feel anything weird. The light dims, and the eyes of the giant are turned off the farther you get away with the compass from the sigil.
Okay, magicians. What's this all mean?
Look, I'm far more familiar with the workings of chalk than I am with torture sorcery. This is whatever is this device is responding to with these symbols. I would assume that there's a vaster torture construct under the ground here. We're probably only seeing a small part of the total structure.
Underground? Do they normally live underground?
The torturers all went to the stars. What they've left behind is not always pleasant. But I would assume that either this is like if we start digging around where the symbol is there a larger is there more carved stone around that's covered with dirt, or is this just like can we dig down and underneath this?
I like the idea. You definitely see a more complex structure. But I'm going to say that the effort to unearth this requires an archaeological expedition or many, many more people. But you can definitely see that this thing had to be connected. You cannot pick the stone with the sigil out. It's embedded in the ground and it's part of something much, much more bigger.
I wonder if there's an entrance to, as you say, an underground kingdom.
Would it be wise to continue searching in the dark, or should we wait till daylight?
Yeah, I'm thinking we should wait till daylight because I don't really think we want to broadcast our position like that at night. During the day, it might not be.
But maybe we should move our fire over to the base of the giant so the unscrupulous invisible men don't know where we are.
So do you want to go to the base?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You slowly...
Actually, Victor, what I would like to do is I'd like to use a little bit of scrounging around here to see if there's a good flat place, a good safe place to put a fire, with my scrounge skill.
Yeah, you can definitely, nothing complicated. Yeah, you can definitely find a spot near the giant that would definitely be possible. But I'm going to say, as you're approaching the giant, it doesn't move, and even in the dark, your eyes got accustomed to the dark. But there is something weird when you try to light a fire, when you are very close to the base. So you can get close because this is not a gacha. You aren't stomped by the giant. It cannot move that fast, essentially. It doesn't move at all yet. And probably will not move. You sense something that is much more earthly, yet damaging. The fire won't start, and when it tries to start, when you're very close, like you spark and you try to start the fire, it has this weird bluish hue. There seems to be some natural gases around the structure or something that actually influences the source of fire. And the chalk sticks in Amathisto's pouch start to vibrate, something that is very common of radiation presence.
Oh, this is not a good area.
And when I say radiation, I do mean the nuclear type that people are very aware of.
There's something wrong with this area.
It's faint, yeah.
And I think the air is bad because the fire won't start. Let's move farther away.
I do think this is probably an entrance of sorts, because if you think about that script, it had the two circles like the eyes, and it was like lines drawn to the middle. It definitely makes me think there might be something here, but yeah, we should not camp here. We'll end up sick.
Bad idea.
There's some rocks over here where we can set up against the rocks. And
yeah, just to be clear, all of these symptoms, all of this awareness is because you said that you are getting closer to the giant. The place, if you return where you were just a couple of steps back, nothing weird is happening. You were in a safe spot, essentially, but you wanted to investigate in the middle of the dark, and those are the signs that you see.
Well, it's good we were able to find out rather than just camp and suffer. So sorry about that, guys. Bad scrounging.
Okay.
I think this is where we'll want to be in the morning. It's a good instinct, and I think while you make the fire, I'll be back in the woods a bit. I don't trust our friends not to show up again. We haven't gotten that far.
I was going to say I'm going to take some thread and put a circle around us and hang some, our sardine tins or whatever on there so they'll make noise. And then I'll take first watch. I am going to sit up in a tree branch a few feet off the ground with my long rifle. And so help me God, if anything moves that thread, I'm going to shoot it. So sorry if I wake you up when I do it. It could just be a cabot or a henny pig. But better safe than sorry.
Okay, you take a rest. One shot, you stay on the branch and keep watch. I am going to say that you have a somewhat restful night. Not much happens. Probably the string gets a little bit tucked, but it doesn't get tucked by, depends on how trigger happy you are.
I imagine a foot going through it would make a big noise.
Oh, yeah. You don't hear something like that, but because you're experienced in long-range weaponry, you think that there are some animals roaming around. They don't seem to be interested in your party. If you want to hunt them for food, you very may well be. Or if you don't, that's fine as well.
It would take too much. I see them, and it would be fun hunting them, but it would make noise, and I want everybody to sleep.
Yeah. Perfect.
If we need to, I can use the recursive bow in the morning and hunt some. That's silent.
But I'll go until halfway through the night, and then I'll come and get Olo, I guess.
I was envisioning Olo just like under a bunch of leaves. Like that's how he's hidden himself.
I'll take the second watch.
Okay. I'm going to, in a helpful way, retcon something. So the whole confrontation brought a lot of stress. I'm going to say that you probably had something like 6 minimum, each one of you. You may roll me a 1d4, and you can decrease that much stress. And any point that you decrease in stress, you can put into a stat or a save of your choosing.
I'm sorry. Are you saying whatever our stress is now, add 6 to it?
Add
and
6
then roll
to it
a
and roll a
D4?
1d4, to decrease from it,
Okay.
And then whatever the number is that we decrease, we can add that into
your stats or your saves, whatever you want. Spread or concentrated, that's fine.
I see.
There are some people that could use more heart.
I know. I was feeling pretty hearty, and then I got stabbed pretty badly.
Okay, I get it.
Have I mentioned that I've gotten stabbed? I feel like I need to mention it
Yeah,
again.
I looked for herbs for you, and all I found was some tasty sweet peas. But
And they do taste good. Thank you, One
you
Shot.
get the
I was
large,
hungry.
you get the larger portion of the sweet peas because you're hurt.
Have you ever been stabbed, Amethystos?
Oh yeah, I've been showing you my scars.
Have you ever had an Imagio bite your arm?
I never saw one until yesterday
Thank God for
or
armor.
today.
After a restful sleep, you wake up and the giant is not there. No, just kidding. The giant is there. You can see it
He's
much
just
more
a little
clear.
closer.
Nothing seems to be disturbed, so you kept watch. You are safe.
Hey, Victor, sorry to interrupt you. So while I was doing second watch, I was wondering if I could use my tinkering skill to try to repair my armor to make, maybe make it a little more useful.
You can definitely do you have anything like a sewing kit or any kind of spare parts, fabric?
Well, we have a bunch of spare parts that are probably kind of warm over at the Thopter.
Yeah, I like the idea and I like the trying. Yeah, you can definitely probably take and bend some parts to put them as new plating.
And if you need any fabric, you know that my character is covered in it.
Yeah, originally, I'm sorry, how much armor points did your...
It was originally 7.
It was originally 7.
I'm not hoping to get anywhere close to that, but even 1 point's nice.
3 is nice. 3 is
Sounds
good.
great. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. So you wake up. Rose, wounds aren't really healable, but you feel much better after a good rest.
Do I heal any of the damage that I still have?
Yes, if you actually have damage that surpassed your wound 10, you do heal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you wake up. Nothing seems to have changed. But in this light, in this much better light, you definitely see this thing that is almost like it looks like a big humanoid anthropomorphic structure. It's like a statue, but this thing is gigantic. You kind of guessed it in the dark from the beaming lights that it emanates when the compass is close. By the way, closing it even now in the daytime, it booms these floodlights that actually give a bluish hue to the surrounding. You're almost certain that you're looking towards a torturer giant, which essentially is almost like a mecha autonomous pilotless structure that the torturer used to battle each other and the imago and everything that is holy in this world with it. It lays right now completely covered in moss, leaves, trees growing out of it. It's unmoving. And if this thing is almost like the legends, there is no wonder it irradiates some radioactive stuff in the air, because the material it's made out of is highly radioactive. And you see it's poisonous, and you see that everything that it grown onto it, it's plants that you've never seen. Some mutations occurred definitely on this thing. But nature thrives. It starts to recuperate on this giant.
About the rest of you, but I'm sorely tempted to climb that thing. I want to see where it's looking.
You think that the beams are beaming into something?
I can't tell. I mean, this could also, there could be an extended compound here, but yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the lights of the beam went right to the symbol on the rock.
Oh, do they?
Well, that area.
Is that right, Victor?
I'm sorry, say again.
The lights from the eye of the robot mecha thing, they shine on the symbol, right?
It's almost, yeah, I'm going to say yeah. It shines in the direction of the symbol. But it's almost like if it wouldn't have these floodlights, you would have stumbled into it because it's humongous, but it's almost like it's a beacon to indicate its presence.
Or like a lighthouse.
Almost,
shining.
yeah.
Well, and with the poisoned ground, there's probably more torturer stuff here.
There are a lot of prohibitions in Cloud Cities that tell us to stay away from any of the old dwellings because they're dangerous. Although I've been told they're not instantly dangerous, they're dangerous to live there any longer because they'll slowly kill you. But if you wanted to climb it, to take a look.
Well, that's the beauty of not having too many years left in you.
Can you fly?
He just kind of looks at you like, no, I'm afraid I cannot, my lord.
Well, if you need assistance, I'll help you. You're old. If you fall, you might be seriously injured.
Might break a hip. Certainly. But it might give a good vantage point of this area so we're not just scrabbling in the dirt, getting poisoned.
If you climb that tree there, you should be able to get almost halfway up in the tree before you have to get over onto the Grand Mech, I think they used to call them. Mech. I don't know if it's Mech or Mech.
Do we have any rope? Does anybody have rope? Are we bad
If
at
I
visual?
remember
Going to be
correctly,
climbing.
one of you actually got some rope from when you stayed at the
We did.
inn at the before you went to the castle.
Because we didn't know if we were going to have to climb to get to the chalk. So we do have some.
Yes. Well, let's take that and throw it around a branch or something, so if at least I fall, I swing or something, and don't drop me.
You're climbing up onto that thing, Olo?
It's not the dumbest thing I've ever done.
If you feel tingles in your hands, you should come back. I'll help.
Yeah.
Well, so let's do it like this. You start to you start to cut the distance between you and this thing, and perspective is quite deceiving because this thing is not huge, it's ginormous. So essentially, when you are at the bottom of it, you can imagine that it's buried in the ground up to its waist. It probably has, if it would stand, if proportions would matter, and you think they do, it stands almost 200 feet in height.
Ooh.
It's gargantuan, and you are lucky that it's buried and you can even get some leverage on some roots and some other overgrowth. But it's gigantic. You are the size, like if this thing was alive, you are the size like its lower lip or something like that.
Yeah, getting up to that, Olo readjusts his glasses. Okay, that's a little bigger than I anticipated.
It's quite large. Yeah.
I'll tie one end of the rope around my waist and one end around your waist.
Yep. Still, height is probably not a bad idea. So, yeah, he's gonna still try and get up a little bit higher in it to get a good view.
Even if you get onto his shoulders, you should be able to see.
Standing on the shoulders of giants. You get quite close to its shoulder as you are getting help from Amatistos. You will be able to get there, but I'm going to say you get all the way up to the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Behind you, just when Amatistos wanted to follow you, a huge metallic scrunch can be heard, and its shoulder slouches a little bit off, and this causes the distance to be quite uncrossable by you. And although you don't think you can come back very easily from this predicament. On the same path, that is.
Yeah. He's holding on as it's...
It's not activating. It's essentially falling under its own weight.
Yeah, if I see any red buttons, I'm pressing them.
Yeah. You better come back down now.
I'm basically on the shoulder, though, right? Like...
Yeah.
On the shoulder of giants, so to speak.
On the shoulder of giants, yeah. He'll then survey the area to see if there's any obvious, like, buried entry points, like areas where the ground has settled in. Thinking about how, when I dig in the yard and don't fill it enough, the grass ends up a little low.
Nothing like that. You definitely have a clear sight. You see some light and bustling activity in the far distance back to the village that you came from. You see multiple pathways, beaten dirt, unpaved, obviously. But you also have this feeling that there is something about this structure being here and being up to its waist. you don't really feel that it's looking at something in particular, like it happened to get stuck probably millennia ago out of a conflict, or it was never put into action. You can't really tell because it's in a very, very bad state.
Yeah, I think it was just stranded here.
Yeah, he'll kind of shout that down, and yeah, the same sort of like, no, I'm not seeing a bunker or anything of that kind. And okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to jump and grab some vines or some nonsense to get down here. So make sure that other end of the rope is
Okay.
as good as you can get it.
Yeah. As you are getting towards some ropes, what are the rest of you doing as you see Amatistos and Olo on the giant just standing there and probably getting a little bit shocked of the slouched shoulder?
Well, I am mistrustful of all things robotic, given the plague that they are around the Golden Hills. So I'm wary of this whole affair.
Yeah.
I think
Stay back.
the sooner we get away from this thing, the better.
I'm going to see if there's anything else interesting we can find now that it's light.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing, just to do a look around between this construct and where we found the writing, and just look to see if there's anything sort of in between the two that's not natural.
There is something in the dirt. There's almost like there's like a leveled ground, but it's very, very subtle. And if you get the dirt away from this small yet long slit, you see that it probably there is something like a door, or a hatch wouldn't make it justice because hatch indicates something of small size. It's something like the whole ground here could open up and swallow you whole, essentially.
Okay.
If it wanted, it looks like a hangar door, essentially a vertical hangar door.
Okay. Yeah, I'll when I find this, I'll call to Sven and Rose, and ask them to come over.
Yes, what is it?
So I found something. I'm not sure what you call these things, but it's here in the ground.
Oh, it's like and I've seen these in torture ruins before. They're some kind of doorway.
Yeah, I don't know what the purpose of this is, but
Well, if we could find a way to open it, that would get us below, which is where we think the flower is, no?
One would have to guess it's somewhere nearby based on the compass.
So I'm gonna look around.
I wonder if we can use the compass here, if it would help us here-ish.
How does the compass react to the door?
Its tongues move, indicating like if you walk across, they change their direction and they point to something, but you are unsure if it's the door or something that is beneath the door.
What kind of crack are we talking about? Is it very small or is it pretty wide?
Very small, tiny,
very
tiny.
Small.
Yeah. Okay. Like a couple, like maximum an inch. Otherwise, you would have seen it very easily and you would have even fallen down through it.
Okay.
So is it open?
Open enough to get one's hand in it maximum.
I wonder. So I want to look around to see if there's anything like a wheel or something to like crank it open. Um,
Have we stuck our hand in and just tried to pull it?
You try to pull it, and it does not even budge. It's almost like you are trying to pull stadium, a stadium flooring.
Mm.
But I like the idea of looking for a way. So as you're looking around, Rose, for a way to open this thing, you come up with an idea that probably where this giant and the door match, like they meet, something probably went awry, so to speak. And to the base of the giant, the door seems to have closed on the giant as it was trying to leave this facility.
Mm.
So there is completely unintentional mechanical damage that has some opening, which could probably let you inside should you wish to proceed
Look,
that way.
I think that thing, that robot, was coming out of one of these doors. So if we go around its waist, we might be able to find a way down.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's see if we can get our mountaineers down from this thing and help us out.
Uh, Before I call them back down, though, I want to find the opening. I don't want to call them down for nothing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we are on our way back down at this point because
Yeah,
we're still
yeah.
climbing. We're still climbing.
Yeah, and as you see Rose showing something to Sven and Sun, Amatistos and Olo, you get down. Nothing more treacherous happens. But as you are standing there and looking at this crack, your activity left some. If somebody would be to go through here, they would know that something disturbed the order because there are vines and things that fell off in the descent. And it's almost like you almost cleaned it up, the moss of this thing. Almost like everything that made contact with it and stayed in contact for probably hundreds of years just completely died. It's just dead.
The decay of it all. Yeah, I think Rose, you've got the right idea. Let's see if there's an entrance in this thing. If we have to hack it apart, that makes me wonder if it's the whole rock they couldn't crack, right? This shell, he kind of clangs on it a little. I don't know that any blade I have at the moment could cut it. Maybe
Well,
maybe their families could.
I wonder if it's not the robot specifically, but more, I mean, that symbol on the ground in stone. This is a large, like that could be the rock they couldn't get past. Like this,
Yeah.
there is something sealed beneath us that they can't get to. Whether by the robot, whether by that other aperture, whether through the stone, they haven't managed to, or they haven't been bothered to do it. So yeah, we'll check all around this rusted out waste of this thing to see if we can find a way in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you essentially search for any kind of way into the robot, not into the underground darkness.
No, I'm looking for a way into the underground darkness. That's my goal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You find one, but it's going to be tough. You need to open it further. So you see where its waist would have met the paneling, essentially, of the door.
Okay, so, ugh. I wonder if there's a way to, I hate to say it, to wake this thing back up.
Oh, I think it's long since
Uh,
immobilized.
it's been immobilized for a long time, but I mean, there have been robots wandering this world ever since the torturers left, and that they're whatever the torturers built last a long time, so this thing still might have some life in it, although
If
dormant.
if there is an underground facility here somewhere, isn't it likely that there are other entrances that are nearby? Um,
It's
one
it,
doesn't always have to open up the giant door to go in and out. There might be.
but that doorway might be hidden in the woods miles from here.
Well, let's.
How we might not ever find it, Amethystos. We have
What do you
openings
think we could?
here if we can figure a way to get them open. I would rather spend a little more time trying to work with what we already know than trying to wander around finding some. And we could find those other entrances, and they might just be just as sealed and closed off as these ones.
Do you
So it's
think that
not.
one of us can squeeze through here?
I don't, not with the current state if it's opening. Am I right about that, Warden?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
Um,
we can't squeeze through here. We need
Well,
to
as
find
as
the only thing that's powerful enough to move this robot is itself. So I'm wondering if there's a way to get inside of the robot and
well as
get it to
as it
move.
said as it said in the Ballad of Linder the Loathsome, um, if you have a lever large enough, you can move the world. Uh, let's see if we can find a fallen tree limb or branch or something and wedge it in there and see if we can at least
I
get
look
it.
at the giant mass of this robot and I look back at Amethystos. I think we're gonna need more than just a tree branch.
Do we
What
know
if
how the
we?
torturers ran these machines? Is there anything in, he's kind of gesturing towards the magicians. Is there any way that we knew that we could command them? Because I know, I'm thinking that we know the Stellar family has ties to the torturers. And I can't help but think of that sword that's whispering all the time that they haven't used. I'm wondering if there's some key aspect to, would that let them control this
Well,
object? Is it a
they
key?
have some means of controlling those robots they have.
What about
Yes.
cleaving the rock?
Whatever means they have of controlling those robots they could use to control maybe control this and get it to move.
Your little play was about cleaving the rock.
They did seem to pick up on that. Yes, it could be that this is the thing they couldn't get through. Honestly, is it's going to stump us.
Well, what if the reason why that rock over there has a symbol on it is because it's another door? You write things above doors. Maybe if we cleave the rock or some such thing, or dig
I
around
don't
it, maybe there's an air gap.
hold on. Is this robot's eyes shining all the time?
no, no.
And
So
if we place the compass on those circles, the eyes light
yeah,
up?
yeah. It's booming floodlights out of its eyes.
It's getting
Okay,
a power source. Yeah.
so it's not completely dead. So if we can find a way inside of the robot, when we place the compass on the stone, it comes to life. We just need to find a means by which to direct that life into not lighting its eyes, but into moving its bulk out of the way. So Olo, instead of climbing up on the outside of the robot, maybe there's a way that where you can climb inside of the robot.
The shoulder did kind of fall apart on me. I don't know, was there a like a gap there that he could see? I kind of imagined just like a plate of scale almost coming off.
You are very, very close. But you were quite in danger. If you would be to cause this thing to slump even more, there is definitely a slit like through the medieval armor into this thing.
There is a possibility. I'd want to take the rope and tie myself around its neck or something, but yeah, we might be able to descend through the machine.
Or
Also,
are you
I
saying we
oh,
could knock it over? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I
And
don't know
maybe
that.
if we knock it over, there'd be a hole left behind?
I even have a suggestion, but you're very close, all of you. These are all great alternative routes that you can take. I'm just going to throw an additional ones. The other ones are completely great and you can try them. You have a very destructive weapon into your possession that has caused an explosion. And
We
this
could
thing,
use the chalk cannon.
Yeah. Shoot the
is
heck out
just
of
a
it.
suggestion.
It's
Yeah, if we
certainly
get the
an
structure to
option.
collapse, we can perhaps climb our way inside.
When all else fails, blow things up.
Yeah.
Well, kind
Hey,
of see
I'm
which
game.
way you think it's going to fall. Get on the other side.
Yeah.
I would assume it's going to fall the opposite, like in the direction that we shoot it. So we'll shoot it and it will fall. I don't think if we're going to shoot it, it's going to collapse towards us.
Because you are right now at a crossroads of decisions, you need to consider the following. This is even more lore-wise, not mechanically wise, but should you choose to use the cannon like brute force, you are expending chalk to do so. If you choose to explore and to try to wedge it by your own weight, you are putting yourself in danger. And falling off this thing is quite painful. If you want to get help from the village or to mark this position and try to come up with better gear and to land through its waste in the facility, that's another possibility, but it takes time and resources.
We are currently, we only have so much life left to live before these spores kill us, but we could, we could get a bunch of rope and pack squabs and tie the pack squabs to this thing and have them drag it for us.
That's an amazing idea.
If
There are tech squads back at the village.
yeah, we may not have a lever, Amethystos, but we do have squabs.
The
Plus,
power of the squab.
we really need to have someone look at your wounds to make sure they're not infected.
I've seen many wounds in my time. Granted, not the severe on myself. I've seen these severity wounds on others, but I'm gonna start chewing on one of the leaves that I gave Sven for his pain. Um, yeah, maybe going back to the village is warranted. However, we should be cautious, though. Um, I don't know if we want House Stellar to know that we found this place. They might have informants in the village.
My only concern with us leaving, because I do think you, Rose, probably do need some health assistance. Um, at the moment, we've scared off the ruffians. I worry that they may see that we've been here and have been poking around and may decide to harass us once more. Although, of course, we'll have a pack of angry bird creatures to attack them with, but still.
Yes, the more time that we spend, the more our vulnerability is, whether in terms of the ruffians or the spores. So,
Somewhat,
are you
yes.
suggesting that you want to try to tip this yourself or to find some way of
I
awaking it?
I think if Sven is willing to take a pot shot at that shoulder, there's certainly an opportunity for us to maybe get in that way and crawl down inside. Um, Son, what do you think? We haven't. I don't think we've asked your wisdom.
Uh, These are all very good ideas. Um, I was actually thinking about the Thopter, if there was anything we could scrounge off the Thopter that might be of assistance to us here. Um, Either to open the doorway a little bit more, knock the arm off, or something like that. It might be burned beyond use, but it might be worth a few minutes. Um,
So, okay. I checking the Thopter makes sense, but I just want to get a just an understanding of where people stand. So, I think that pack squabs are the most salient solution to this problem to drag this thing down.
it's certainly the most safest,
Are
actually.
we on a time from
Only because
Thorn
we're
and Tada?
infected.
We're on the timer of the spores they infected us with that are going to consume our
Yeah.
bodies.
So do we want to take the time to go to town and come back, which
Well, the
is
spores could kill us
several hours?
or
That's
Also,
Olo could
also
fall to his death.
What?
invisible theory said by one of you here is completely correct. One of the blades of the Thopter is completely intact, and it's almost like a big metallic wedge.
with a big enough lever, I can lift the world.
It might be very heavy. We could also split. Three of you go into town. Two of us stay here and stand guard against the assholes.
Well, I believe that these assholes aren't going to have many more luck with moving this thing than we are, if they even understand its importance, which they likely don't. If we split, we are more vulnerable to them. They could attack the two who are here, or they could attack the three that have gone to town. If there's the five of us together, they don't have that opportunity to pick us off one by one.
Quite honestly, I was hoping they would show up so that I could blow their brains. But
If you were
um,
one of the children of my village, I would tell you to not harbor thoughts of revenge. But in this instance, I also desire to do them grave injury.
well, let's go look at the Thopter blade. Let's try to detach it and see how much work that seems like. If it's too much, then we can go into town and get your pack animals,
Squabs.
squabs.
I'm surprised you didn't learn about or read about squabs in all of your learning, Amethystos. Do you not
I
have
read,
squabs in the Cloud Cities?
not that I've seen. We usually use other means of doing labor.
A reliable pack squab is one of the best companions one can have in this world, Amethystos. Always remember that.
But they
All
can't
right, let's
fly.
They don't need to fly.
They do if they live in cloud cities.
otherwise they fall.
They fall.
Um, let's
These are
go get one of the
domesticated.
blades.
Yeah.
Let's go get that thing.
Detaching the blades is quite an easy endeavor, but I'm going to tell you this thing is quite heavy. It would make for a tremendous Zwei handler if it wasn't almost like 30 pounds or something. This is quite heavy. So you can not swing it, but it would deal something like 4d10 damage. I don't know why I said that.
So,
Well,
If we all
Olo
wield it
is very
together.
strong. Maybe he could
so
split a rock by swinging this.
Well,
But that's not what we need to do.
let's try the lever idea first.
yeah, we we take it, we wedge it in where it should go, and we get our rope and tie it around a tree and keep tightening the rope to pull the lever over.
I didn't realize Stu was in this game. Where did you get that from?
These are a big set of tweezers.
We get big splinters in the cloud cities.
My.
Those are my plant tweezers.
Um, do me whichever of you want to do strength check with advantage. So you roll twice and you keep the best result and hope for anything but a failure, essentially.
Who's strong?
I'm 35 and I
That's
rolled a
better than me.
33.
Better than me.
You rolled a, oh, perfect. That's a critical success. Yeah, the blade is completely intact, and you even wedge it in such a way that it returns to you all. And after a scrounge of metal echoes through the forest, you have a wide enough gap that you think you can each one by one get into the darkness.
Oh, we're going into the darkness. We should. Do we have torches or anything?
Get some
We
branches.
probably have some sort of light. We got to make sure, though, that once we've wedged it open, that we put obstacles there so that if the lever snaps, it doesn't close, which would trap us. Because we need the rope. So we figured that all out.
Yeah. You figure, but if I may, you did such a great job, and you are sure that this thing can only close if the facility gets reactivated and somebody sends an order to close this hatch or something, because it gave a sound like a metallic castle. Nobody has been around here or opened this thing in probably hundreds of years. So unless somebody oils it and powers it because it looks like it's pneumatic based,
Yeah.
nobody can actually drag it. It's easier to open it if you got an opening like you had other than closing it.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll be fine, Amethystos. I'd be more worried about those scoundrels ambushing us on our way back. I'd be surprised
Well,
if they followed us down here.
let's get a number of bushes and things like that and camouflage the area so that they wouldn't notice that it was here.
We're gonna add camouflage to the giant resting robot.
Well, just to the hole that we just made. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll know we've been here, but maybe they don't know where we went.
Right.
I don't know, because it looks like to me from the outside, this looks like a giant rusted out robot. I like this hole is barely large enough for us to fit through. I don't think we should call any more attention to it.
All right. Let's slip through. Who wants to go first into the
And
darkness?
I'd like to make a few torches while we're doing the various things. Figure that's something that, as a courier, I've probably had to do enough times in the past.
Yeah, sure. What do you use for the ignition of the torches? So gasoline or what type of inflammable substance do you have to imbue the?
That is a really good question. I'm not sure. Maybe we're just using sticks and
Yeah,
Be
yeah.
like
some
doing the ends into the little branches so they burn out.
some spilt fuel from the thopter.
Copter.
I like that idea a lot.
And
Yeah.
there's grease there too. You mix the fuel with the grease, you slather it on.
Dip
It's
it
a
in some
stinky fire,
cloth.
but it works.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely
Um,
find something in the top. Yeah, some spare
okay.
fuel.
And I'm more than willing to lead the way.
Okay.
Perfect. So,
I'll go
with
second. Yeah.
okay, Sven, Amatistos, and I wanted to ask for the order.
So it's Sven, Amethystos, then I suppose I'll go down. Then
Okay.
Sun and Oldo, if you want to take up the rear.
Hello, do you want the rear or do you want me to take the rear?
Um, you know what? I'll cover our back.
Okay.
Just be careful. He's calling out to Sven. Be careful. We don't know what kind of defenses they have. So keep your ears sharp.
I'll try. But this is pretty exciting.
So you descend into the darkness. There is a musty smell, almost of some kind of moss and some kind of mushroom spores. It's old. It has never been opened until now. You get into this place that is cramped and tight, and lighting around you with the torches, you start to see multiple things. You are into what seems to be like a hangar that has most of its ceiling fallen off and blocking multiple ways, essentially cramping this space. On the opposite wall, you see a big gashing wound caused probably by the door closing in the giant in the very lower right part of the behemoth. And there's this orange viscous substance leaping from the injury in the metallic colossus. Looking around, you don't sense any kind of presence, but you cannot help but feel that something is quite wrong in this section. You are almost entering a weapons manufacturing plant of a civilization that has long gone and nearly wiped out the entire nature and humanity with it in the past. You can all add 1 stress.
So I have a question about the stress level at the moment.
Yes.
You said that we had 6 additional stress to what we already took.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm currently at 10 and now I have 11.
Oh, you didn't relieve anything from the one before? I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm at 9. Or I was at 9, now I'm at 10 again.
Yeah. You are pretty on edge, son, seeing this. But your torches can only do enough to see quite close to you. There is an abyss of darkness around you as you are getting a footing in this new chamber. Nothing moves. Everything is quite still.
But if there is any power, it's not on. There's not even a little twinkling light. Does this area look navigable? Does it look like we can move around, or is it half caved in and buried? And
you can definitely navigate it. In fact, I'm going to say that you see some paths are not crumped in, while some others have definitely rock formations that have collapsed the entire rainforest structure.
yeah, let's see if we can find
Also,
farther way into the facility.
Yeah, also the deep laceration in the giant is almost like a big inviting room that you can take should you want, like a road. The giant seems to be accessible through this wound that has been caused by the door.
So you're saying that that giant wound that's got some kind of orange goo on it could be a place of shelter?
Could be a place of shelter if you want. It can even be explorable.
Well, should we start there? I mean, we're looking for a flower, right? Nothing down here
let's
looks...
see what the compass says now that we're down here.
Oh, good idea.
Thinking,
That's why you're the magician.
The compass tongs each one of them leads to an entry, another one to another entry, and another one distinctly leads to what you believe to be the gash in the giant.
Okay, so the compass is very distinctly now, for the first time, pointing in 3 different directions. So we should check the giant while we're here, and then we can worry about the others if we don't find the flower.
Hold on to your chalk one shot to let us know if it gets dangerous.
Yeah. So do you keep together or do you split the party?
No, we should stay together now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the giant.
Go as
Yeah,
well.
let's go to the giant. We're here already, so.
Right.
The deep gash. Getting closer, you smell something like it smells like it can be inflammable. It has this alcohol odor to it. And you have seen, you are almost certain that this is some kind of fuel. But this fuel must have been here for hundreds of years, and it still has some viscosity and some, it's almost like it's fresh. Like if you put this into an engine, it could very well just start off and work. But it's leaking all over the place. But it's not a weird fungal substance. It's essentially fuel.
Not bring the torches directly with it.
What
yes,
is
you
this?
need to be careful. And entering the giant, who is the first one that enters, essentially?
I think I have the compass, so I'm trying to see what it's pointing to in here. So I guess I'm going first.
Okay, so everyone else will see what Rose sees, but Rose, I will have you in fact, let me describe better because I hate give me a fear save, then I will describe. You enter
okay, so I roll 1d10, right? In this
you
game, it's
enter the
1d10.
cavity.
Oh,
and
I got a 9, so I'm okay. I passed my fear save, my panic test.
Perfect. No damage. As you see, a humanoid figure. It's a little bit bigger than other humans you have seen, but you're pretty sure you're looking at a torturer. It's long dead. It has a huge spike through its heart, and it's seated in a specific chair that has all of these cables and implants into it, and you're almost certain you're looking at the pilot of this thing.
Oh, sorry. I misheard you. I thought I was making a panic test. I'm making a fear save?
A fear save, yeah. You don't panic. Sorry. But you can take
I still passed. I got a 6.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. No stress
fear.
Additional.
No fear.
It's mostly because you are seeing a dead individual and a torturer. Usually their bodies are burnt by people that want to banish their memory, but this one, nobody got to it in order to burn it.
I'm going to stop in the doorway. I'm kind of in awe at this. This is in my life. I've never seen anything like this. There's a torturer in here.
Right. Want to get a look?
Yeah, I'll step into the room. I'll step into the space. Let everybody else
As
see.
more eyes are landing in the chamber, you see what Rose sees. Plus, there is a big console of thousands of buttons, which are small in a grid. You see the torturer having these gloves that had some tiny spider-like legs, essentially multiplying their fingers by a lot. So they probably use this to manipulate and to control the very complicated console. The power is shut down. There are screens that are turned off, obviously, and the torture has this suit on it, and it has a wide grin on its deathly visage, adding to the weirdness of the situation. People don't usually grin or smile when they die, but this thing is in a rigor mortis, and it's quite well preserved.
It's
it
just
seems
desiccated.
to stare. It's desiccated. It's almost like a mummy. It's well preserved, but it's desiccated. It's a corpse, and its glassy, dark eyes are staring into a turned-off monitor.
Its eyes are still intact.
Yes, it's very, very well preserved.
Now, do we have a weird or stressful realization that the torturers look just like us? They're not monsters, they're humans.
If your character feels like it, I see no reason why not.
Yeah.
Oh, in all your learning, I thought you knew.
Well, they talk about them, but they don't tell you, they were horrible, terrible things. They don't ever say they were us.
Yes, the torturers, some of them went to the stars. Those who were condemned to stay behind are our ancestors.
Well, then this is all ours.
That's not a legacy I'd be too proud of.
I like the way you think, one shot. Finders,
I think we
keepers.
can fix it. We can fix it if we can.
No,
No.
not while I'm alive.
Now we
Well,
just
I
have
don't
to
think-
figure out how to take care of this disease, and then we're rich.
No one should have possession of these things anymore. Look what they've done to our world. We don't need to reawaken this giant. What good will that do?
I didn't mean to fix the giant. I meant to fix the problems that our ancestors caused.
It's hard to put out a fire with a fire.
Well, let's look around and see what there is.
Rose,
We don't have to decide yet.
Yeah. What is your compass saying, Rose?
It's pointing towards these two doors.
Oh, but wasn't it pointing towards this area as well?
It was. So yeah, what is the compass? What is the compass interested in this room, in the cockpit? Let's say.
Well,
Control room.
As you enter the giant, you see that it practically almost like in a binary yes-no way, you visited a part. So it's not interested in something in particularly in the giant. You pretty much have free roam inside of it. And aren't really quite sure what you're looking for.
Yeah, then I think Sven has the right of it. Although I'm just going to get those gloves off of this person. I'm curious if this is something we might be able to wear. Like, is this person sized differently than us, or are they about us sized?
Lore crafting them. They are a little bit bigger than you. Okay. But I'm going to say that, yeah, for sure, it's better if it's a bigger glove than if it's smaller size, because, yeah, then you wouldn't even fit. It definitely decreases your mobility by a lot if you would be to wear them, but they seem to function. And as you're trying to extract them off the hands of the cadaver, it emits this sound like metal grinding on metal, because you see all of these tiny legs are getting inside of this thing and contracting, essentially deactivating the glove as you are taking it off the body.
Well, at the very least, these should fetch a nice price.
There are also ways to navigate the giant. So to give you an idea, to prepare some kind of a mental map, you are entering through its belt area. So you are essentially in its chest cavity. This thing's mind is not in its head. The pilot was living in the heart. So you are in the chest area, and you are like in a big organism. You see some very, very Geiger-esque ladders, almost like made out of bones and spines that you can climb up into the head, or you can even climb down into the limbs like legs or walk around into the arms.
Yeah, I mean, we're here, right? We should look around, start with the head, work our way down.
Thinking.
Sounds good.
As long as we're going where the compass says to go.
Well, we're
Well,
where the compass told us to go.
The compass just was interested in the space. I don't know. I don't think that there's anything here for us to find in regards to our spore problem.
But if we wandered around for 4 days looking at everything else and then it was here,
all right. Let's look.
So you take the stairs. You go, where do you go exactly? Because you are in the middle of it, so you can pretty much, if you imagine a human body on a pavement, you can navigate in its arms, in its head, in its legs. Where would you like to go?
Sven wants to go to the head.
Okay. Let's start with the head then. I will assume that you probably are followed by some of the group. So as you are going towards the head, you climb this spine, bone skin ladder. It's weird because, and I think I even said this when you were at the castle, you observed this. This material, whatever this giant is made out of, you cannot put your finger exactly why at first it seems very familiar to you. It's almost like you have flexible bones and skin in the same material, an organic material. And then it hits you. This is the same material that the chests at House Stellar were made out of. The very same.
Kind of
This realization doesn't make you stop to climb to the head. Sharing it is up to you. But you find yourself in the head of the giant, which essentially is a cramped up room with the giant's tongue resting on the flooring of its head. It's inert, and it has these very, very armadillo-like stripes, organic structures that you think it would leave it to bend and act as an organic tongue, even though it seems to be made out of this weird material like the ladder. Besides this, you see that the giant's eyes are big bulbous structures which hum very lowly, almost like a generator based on chalk.
Okay.
The nervous system of the eyes connected to the brain, which is essentially just a microcontroller because the actual controller is the pilot in the heart, has tons of symbols on it scratched into this nucleus.
Okay,
And this is what we see.
before I try to cut open the eyes to get the chalk, hey, y'all, this material, you recognize it? It's just like the chests.
Yeah, it's all torture material.
Mm-hmm. But, remember, they must have got those chests from someplace like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they took from here, is these chests.
Hey, One Shot, can you read any of this? You magicians know
Can I read
about
any of it?
Again, I don't. The language of the torturers has long been lost to us. Nobody alive knows how to read any of this.
There are scholars that are working on trying to decipher it.
So
the gray.
these eyes, I think there's chalk here, guys.
Don't let your greed get us into trouble. You
Hey, us running out and getting that chalk was what allowed us to destroy that thopter. So
point made.
it's dangerous, but it's powerful. Maybe we should explore the rest of this thing, though, before we start tearing it apart.
Dismantling it, yes.
Because I am, as powerful as chalk may be, I'm still more interested in finding the cure to our spore problem than I am in,
of course,
dissecting the robot.
And we're playing in the robot. We've still got the facility down below to see what there is.
Amethistos, you have like a crest that your family uses. I wonder if the torturers had something like that.
Well,
could I get one of the magicians to help me? And like, I'm pretty sure I can basically take apart this person's outfit. I'm wondering if there's some crest, essentially.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. I was taught in the writings of Folklore the Magnificent that magic didn't come into the world until after the torturers were gone. That it came with the Imago.
It's interesting.
Now that you know what mine does. Sorry, it wasn't something more interesting.
Is it the one that poisons Finn?
It's the one that makes a horrible stench.
Which I never, ever want to smell again.
It's bad. It's bad.
In fact, Sven, you can still feel the smell.
On the back.
Even here, you can still taste it. It's like rivers upon rivers of sulfur and rotten eggs all squashed into your nostrils at once.
Yeah. At least the carnivores will stay away from me.
The secret ingredient is butyl mercaptan. Comes from a horrible little black and white creature.
That doesn't surprise me at all. All right, who's leading downward?
I'll go. Let's make our way down.
Yeah, I'll stay by the body.
Yeah, I'm staying with the body too.
So you stay in the heart region. As the others, you're going exactly where? Do you want to go in one of the legs, or do you want to go inside one of the arms?
kind of want to get to the point where we can get out of the robot and into the underground.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You can definitely leave the robot. Yeah. So you leave.
I thought we were going to check out the arms and legs first.
All right. Well, we can do that along the way.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm kind of with Rose. I want to find the cure to the plague ASAP.
So, okay, so you all regroup, or some people stay with the body in the heart of the mecha robot? However you want.
Yeah. Sounds like we've got some people searching, then I think Olo and Rose will spend some time looking through the body for anything else weird that
or anything useful. Yeah. Okay, so splitting the exploration into two parts. The ones that are trying to explore the facility, you see, you will need the compass essentially because it reacts to seeing the corridors. It reacts to two corridors, even though they are not the only ones that are unblocked. So there are multiple corridors, but the ones that it reacts to, each has this plaque above it, which is in torture script. But there is an addition made to each one of them, like scratched into these plaques. One of them has a plant, like in a pot, but it's not really the star-shaped plant, but it's a plant in a pot. And the other one is it's hard to describe. It's almost like you see an etching of a face of some kind, almost like a very, very sketched face. Not grotesque, but very, very minimalistic, like just indicating the proportions, like eyes, nose, mouth positions, and stuff on.
Should we go to the flower first?
Yes, since we're looking for a flower, that makes the most sense.
Okay. This place, you are almost certain that somebody has been here more recently because there is a thick layer of dust and there are steps that have been left. You enter a place that has on each of your sides long, wide, and tall walls, like a library. But of course, you inspect these shelves much closer and it doesn't appear to be holding books. You squint a bit, and upon concentrating your sight on what you see, you actually see small bonsai-like trees that are in terrariums that are hermetically sealed. It's almost like a bank of nature, almost like somebody stored endless samples of saplings, seedlings.
I'm going to call loudly back up to the others and say, we seem to have found a storage room for small plants. Echo, echo, echo.
What?
Yeah. Do any of them have the cure?
Yeah. Do I recognize these plants? Are they familiar to me?
Do me, please, a mind check, and you can definitely have advantage for any kind of botanical knowledge or any kind of farming or planting experience.
Okay.
Ground gene.
I did not pass that.
Don't know either.
As a failure, because there still is a consequence, you recognize something. There is information in everything. You pick some at random. You recognize some, but they are very mundane. Some of them you have never seen in your life as a wanderer and as a magician that actually prepares herbal remedies. So this makes you wary that these things are either extinct, some of them, or are just plants that they were never inhabiting the hereafter, the lowland wastes, that is. This is something that is may seem benign for some people, but for people that are into this kind of remedy-based culture, you are definitely certain that there is a big opportunity for you to pick something and essentially explore and try to discover something with these things, should you actually want to try their properties.
Yeah.
But some of them are not familiar.
This is like a storehouse of plants that existed thousands of years ago.
And this is the greatest treasure I've ever seen.
Maybe they put it here to revitalize the world when things started falling apart. They still look like they're in good shape.
Yeah.
We still might be able to do that. But I think that somewhere down here, what are there, thousands of them?
To give an idea of the space, it's a long corridor that has parallel corridors, so you can walk around these shelves. And the shelves go on. And if, for example, Sun got very enthusiastic about the prospect of discovering new species of plants, they stopped. You, Amatistos, walked a little bit farther away. You are across from Sun, like 30 feet. You echo, and there still doesn't seem to be an ending. You don't see the ending of this room inside.
No, millions even.
Probably, yeah.
Species. Very valuable cache of plants. And somewhere in here is our cure.
I think we should continue to explore, though, because as large as this is, it'll take us a long time to find any specific thing.
Well, we need to have the compass to guide us. Should everybody get back together again for this?
And as you ask that, we are going to return to the giant inhabiting people. You spend some time with the poor sod that was once a torturer pilot. You probably strip him naked. When you strip him naked of his possessions or their possessions, there is a weird fungal growth on the spike that went through this individual's heart. And of course you see it, you spot it immediately, you don't touch it, you are careful. But this, as you move the body, you have to get them off the spike. endless maggots and this weird white, mushy like textured gigantic spores fall out of the wound on the floor and bounce off like rubber balls.
Good God.
What the hell? Don't step on those. Um, do they look similar to the spores we saw on the body of I think it was
They are very
Screaming Gore?
similar.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is definitely where the spores come from.
Interesting. This is you
Well,
to
if we
think they
weren't,
think they have the cure, even though this ugh, this was infected the same way as we were.
yeah,
Or
maybe that we've just been sent to our deaths.
so these spores are a little like they're rubbery and they move.
Yeah, they are rubbery and they seem to move only out of mechanical impulse. They don't have a mind or a certain movement to them. Um, you squash one of them if you want under your boot, and they plop with this um, weird smell, but they don't smell like decay. And this seems like peas out of a pea pod. They are fresh and they are quite healthy eating of this thing that uh, it's almost like they inhabited the carcass, the cadaver, and they were kept quite fresh to paint a delicious picture. You can probably make a nice stew.
This there's something wrong with these torturers, that's for certain. They last longer than they should.
Well, it's almost as preserved in some way by being sealed in here for so long.
It's interesting. I wonder if that was an intent. It's we've known that they developed these spores, but it's unclear why. Maybe they thought there would be some use to them, but
Well, they could have some kind more, I don't know, as you say, some kind of express purpose. So in certain situations, the spores are quite useful.
mhm.
But if used improperly or exposed to outside of the proper method of use, they're dangerous.
I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. It's he's like kind of setting the body off to the side, and now that we've kind of gone through it, uh, I'm assuming we didn't find anything of particular interest beyond that.
Well, to be fair, I kind of like the looting mechanics, so why don't you roll me?
He has a kazoo.
He,
Weird.
it's death. Ah.
Yeah.
It's sudden death. No. Roll me
1D100. Is this the
navigating this bad boys. Um, roll me D5
All right, a D5.
because they definitely need to have something on them.
That'd be a 3. Punching glove on a spring. Just yeah, 3.
Oh, a 3. Okay, sorry. A 3. Oh, you see a particularly weird crest in their possession that has an eye that is closed, patched into it. And you are sure it's a crest, but you are not sure what it does.
Rips that out of the flesh. Well,
You rip it out of the costume.
Archers Torturers with crests. This does not endear me anymore towards the lordlings.
No, there's something. I mean, if Sven was saying there was also chalk in the eyes, this makes me wonder how much we know is true. Well, you know is true. I don't know anything about. I thought magic was around forever.
I mean, it could be that the torturers synthesized a material, um, and that in whatever they did to kill the world, that material
Yeah.
became the substance of the imago.
Hmm.
So it may be that ultimately chalk is artificial. The torturers created it, but it is in our current state, we
Interesting.
understand it as coming from the imago.
Interesting.
And you both, I mean, although you definitely know out of legends, and Rose you would know as probably more of a bookwormy magician type, crests are semi-mechanically, semi-magical devices that have been recuperated. Not most of them are not produced; they are recuperated as artifacts from very old monuments and mythical paraphernalia.
Yeah, so nobody actually knows how to build a crest. They're fine
Yeah,
tuning.
but
Oh,
your
okay.
comment about it being in torturers' possessions, there are rumors, nobody knows for sure. There are legends that they produced the crests in the first
Well, I
place.
think this is pretty solid evidence that they
Yeah.
did, given that this dead torturer has one.
Well, this is extremely valuable if you want to keep a hold of this. This is frankly not something I want to have on my possession.
Yeah, I'll hold on to it.
Well, it's you definitely identify it as a crest, and unless you actually fidget with it and try something with it, you are almost sure that it will not trigger on its own. So it needs a special intent in order to trigger its effect. Um, Again, the etching on it, just to give a small hint, is a closed eye, almost childishly drawn. You can see the small hair follicles from the eye as it's closed. But yeah, you can definitely pocket it, and you have a mysterious crest in your possession. The moment when you took this crest out of the body, there is a weird sound coming from somewhere afar through the giant. It sounds like music.
Well,
It's not creepy music, but it's music.
I would say the situation makes it creepy. What?
And with that, you hear the silence being broken by Amatistos and Amatistos, Ven, and Sun returning to you to fetch you from the jail.
I'm gonna run in and run up to Rose and say, "You're never gonna guess what we found. We found like the greatest treasure I've ever seen. It's all of these plants. I mean, the possibility of this could change the world. It could reshape everything."
What'd you guys find?
We found
Faint music. Yeah.
we found a crest.
A crest. Whose
Yes,
crest?
the torturer had one.
I didn't think that they had magic. Where is it?
I have it.
What's it look like?
I'll show the crest.
You see this almost ceramic-like plate with a closed eye on it, sketched and etched into it.
I know text on it.
No, not really. It seems to be only this symbol, and it has the typical buttons on it, let's say, like indentations that you can actually interact with to try to use it. But you are unsure of its effects.
Yes, I don't know what it would do or at all. But I suppose, as Sven said earlier, finders keepers. So it's yours now. I'd be cautious. A closed eye could mean darkness, blindness, insects floating in front of your face that you have to kill.
Yes, fruit flies. Um,
Actually, that's interesting. Do you think maybe the folks that were invisible, I don't know how they were. Is that common? Like that, I'm assuming that is not a common thing that people can do.
Well, it's a
It's not.
spell. I can use chalk to make myself invisible.
So I think, oh, okay. Maybe that's just it, but wondering if they're in the area, maybe they found more of these.
It's possible. Crests usually do something big. Uh,
yeah, so it's
Like
not my
some of the
intention to
smell.
use it. And but you saying you found, you say all
kind of
sorts
a,
of,
I don't know, a library of plants, but they're the actual plants in small containers that look like they're designed to keep the plant in perfect condition until some point in the future when it might be planted. I don't know.
do you think our flower came from this library of plants?
There's millions of them. It certainly could be there amongst them. We had no way of looking at it all.
And this was in the robot or in the facility?
No, this is in the facility.
Yes, okay.
Uh, that if you look closely, you'll see there's a sign. It's in torture, but there's a little plant attached to it, etched into it. The other one looks interesting too. It's got a little face. Maybe it's a whole collection of faces.
Is it a face with triangle eyes and a triangle mouth?
Is it? It's a happy face.
It's a neutral face.
Yeah. So it's worth exploring.
Trying to keep my GM smile off my face. Yeah, you can explore.
Uh,
But as you're staying and discussing, all of you, without much effort, you can hear almost like a melody being sing-songed somewhere around you by a flute. It's a blowing instrument almost, and it's quite soothing.
When did that music start?
where is that coming from?
Remove the crest from the body.
Oh, so you triggered something.
It would certainly seem that way, but it doesn't seem immediately hostile. It's rather relaxing.
Uh, can we figure out where it's coming from?
Yeah, it almost goes to its right arm, the right arm of the giant, somewhere from that part.
Well, I guess I'll go look.
Oh, look.
The Pied Piper.
Okay, you go there. It's weird because you hear it And as you're getting closer, you climb up, and there is no movement around, but you are sure that the sound almost directionally comes towards you like a pipe, like the player actually turns into your direction. Do me hmm, do me a speed check, if you would please, Sven.
Okay, my speed is 47 and I rolled a 96. It's constrained and tight in here.
It's constrained and tight. You climb and you look, and you see an almost anthropomorphic figure, like it's very similar to the sniper crow that you have seen.
Oh no.
But it's connected. It has its torso like a snake into the ceiling connected. And it has this flute that it actually sings at. And you climb up and it doesn't react. And you almost, it piques your curiosity because it's not hideous or anything, but it's quite a nice player, and it's almost like a glorified jukebox, a much more complicated jukebox. And you want to get a closer look, so you want to step.
I do?
Or,
okay.
Oh, so you want to get away. You produce a sound.
Well, I'm just a little worried that, the thing is like something that I know is very dangerous.
Okay, yeah, so you are going to retreat.
Mm-hmm. So I think I might go and ask Rose if they know anything.
Okay. That plays
like this.
Completely well. It's completely fine because collaboratively you are not careful, and you when you get back, because it's cramped in here, you hit your head or something and you make a sound and the music stops.
Uh-oh.
This thing turns towards you and it points one of its fingers towards you, and it screams loudly, almost like an ear-shattering scream. You will lose your grip on the ladder. You will fall, and it's not that high, so I'm not going to call for a damage, but you see some sacks with some white spheres in it in the ceiling. And this thing, almost with like a dart pipe, shoots them, and they start falling towards you. And with this, I think it's a good place to put a pen in today's session.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right. Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, Nathan Decker, Steve Anderson, Julian Arba, and myself, with Victor Graur as our game warden. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the strange and fantastic world of Cloud Empress. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.